Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our daily gratitude call. Thank you all for being on the call today. Really looking forward to see what we get to learn today. I'm going to be setting a timer in just a moment for 90 seconds. We're going to have our own private meditation on gratitude for the space between. And I'm not going to give any more instruction or insight into that. I'm just going to let you all have your own private meditation and receive your own personal inspiration on what that means to you. So just take a deep breath, open your mind and your heart to receive your own personal inspiration on gratitude for the space between. Begin. Okay. I feel like I just got started. It's like, really? Already? I'm excited for what all of you get to share on this. For me, the space between, I had, there's just kind of like this space between one, something that you know and something that you haven't experienced yet is such a, there's like anticipation, excitement. It's like you can see it, but it hasn't quite settled on you yet. And there were four actually, that of those different spaces. One was the space between faith and knowing. So you can have faith, but you can see, I know that, with enough evidence, I'll know this and it will settle on me and it'll just be a solid thing. The space between, and then kind of the next step, the space between knowing and wisdom. So that's like applied knowledge. What do I get to do with this knowledge that I have? And then the space between wisdom and legacy, how I use that wisdom, take that information now that I have practical knowledge of it, I have wisdom now and be able to serve someone else. And then that led me to thinking about the space between earth and God's realm, the way that we create here on earth, and between that and how God creates. And that I feel like it is just like there's just such a small, almost just like a film that we would walk through, just a fog, like, a cloud that we would walk through and we're there. It doesn't feel like it's that far away. Who else has something that they would like to share?
I'd like to share.
Hey, Melissa.
I was on the same lines as you, but a little more grandiose. I thought about the space between us dwelling with God in the premortal existence
Mm,
and the space that we're going to be dwelling with God in all our glory.
mm.
And I just thought about how I want every choice I make to lead me to the place where I'm worthy to be in God's presence as my highest self.
Wow, thank you. So it's like being on earth here is a space and is a space between,
Exactly.
and the choices that you can make here to have that be the best that it can be. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
I'd love to share on this.
Okay, let's go Daniel and then Phil.
Yeah, my thought was that it's like the image that comes to me is a gap, a void,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a place to rest. It's a place to rest, after I complete something or other, an activity, a relationship, anything. So I kind of think, I'm just thinking in those terms right now. Thank you, ma'am.
Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sounds like the gateway of prosperity that I talk about in my book is when you achieve a level of success, it's good to take a moment and rest and really be grateful for, celebrate your success, what you've completed. Thank you. Phil.
I am, and that caused me a really deep thought. The space, is what allows everything else to exist, and it's where God is, and it's the space between words. Einstein said space and time are the same, and time is the space, and the ocean is the space for fish to exist, and their darkness is the space. It's the space where light exists. And without the space, then none of us can exist. So to me, space is where God is.
Awesome. I love that idea. And I want to just kind of add to that, to maybe give a little bit of a visual that in art, we talk about positive space and negative space. So a positive space would be like if you had a picture of, two vases side by side. If you kind of envision, a shape like a vase. And then the space in between has a shape also. There's a shape in between the vases that is, darker or lighter because it's, shows the background, but there is a design that is created between the two vases that are side by side. And that negative space is a real tangible thing. If you look at the negative space, then all of a sudden you can't even see the positive space. And I love that idea that God exists in the negative space, and it upholds, kind of makes it so that you can see the shape of the things in the positive space. I also thought of faith possibly being in the negative space, that, it's not something that we can actually see, but it's holding up the tangible things that we're trying to create. Who else has something they'd like to share?
All right, I'd like to.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Michael. My first thoughts, they're more tangible, I guess. But I thought a molecule and the space that's in between the molecules and how close and far they are away. And that gives us the thickness of materials or thickness of things versus, the thinness, because some, like water, you can put your hand through it. But wood, you got to punch a little harder to get through it. And I thought about all the planets and the worlds we have, and those planets are in an orbit. They keep that space, the same space, when they're floating around, and the gravitational pull, allows them to stay the same distance, say from the sun. And all of this was created and designed for our benefit. The molecules totally protect us. And I thought of another thing is the space between something coming at you. you know, when you're standing on the curb and a car goes flying by,
Mm-hmm.
a vehicle does, you know, you're grateful to be away from that speeding car or vehicle. But somebody shooting at you, you're grateful for the space between you and the bullet, you know, or the arrow, or the snowball. If you know, a child throws a snowball at you. If you're walking along and something falls off a building, you're grateful for the space between you and the object that just fell. So the space between us is sometimes a safety zone, sometimes it's designed to allow us to live. All the molecules in your body bring that, you know, they keep their distance, and that's another thing is between people. Some people have a comfort zone where the space between me and you is only 2 feet or 3 feet, whatever it is. But once you get in that space, it affects our comfort zone. It affects, you know, the way we are. Some people like hugs and they hold everybody close, and other people like a distance between them. So we create a space between us, and that space gives us comfort or gives us fear. So those are just some of the things I had.
Yeah, those are all really awesome. I just want to touch on all of these things that you've shared with the molecules. It's really important that we understand the laws of physics. You know, God has put the certain space between us and the sun that allows us to thrive. If we were closer or farther away, we would either freeze or burn up. So it's the laws of physics that even govern our world. It's good for us to understand some of those as much as we can. You know, you were talking about molecules, and some are farther apart, some are closer together. So we've got more solid things, more liquid or even gaseous things. And, you know, to know that the farther apart the molecules are, the slower it takes for like a boiling point. If it's more solid, it's going to boil a little bit faster. So it's good to understand some of those laws of physics so that we can bring the things that we want to manifest into real, you know, into our reality. If we're going to, we need to have it be more tangible, and adding faith to it. We've been taught in the scriptures that faith is a tangible substance. It's the evidence. It's it's a tangible thing that we add to this thought that we have. And so we're making it more solid. We're going to make it boil faster, you know, or become a solid thing faster. The other thing that you were mentioning about like the space between, judging distance, like if you're standing on a curb and wanting to cross the street, you can kind of judge how far is that car away. So can I cross right now or not? I thought about the space to prepare. The space that we have, you know, we don't typically on earth are not able to manifest things instantly, but that can be a huge blessing, because if I could snap my fingers and manifest $1 billion, I might not use that $1 billion in the most, you know, the best ways if I haven't been trained first, if I haven't prepared to receive that $1 billion. The other thing about the comfort zone and personal space is a really good thing to be aware of, so that we can, you know, be the most, show up for other people in a way that they are willing to accept us. And also knowing, you know, about our personal space. Maybe there's a limiting belief that we have about people getting close, and we can recognize that by a change in emotion, you know, feeling scared or anxious or something like that. If somebody gets too close, it's a good way for us to recognize maybe some limiting beliefs that we have. Thanks for everybody's shares. Is there any last thoughts before we shift over to our permission process? All right, let's just go ahead and take a deep breath. And with everything that has been shared, I'm just going to invite you to be aware of maybe one of the thoughts that has been shared, whether it's your own or something that somebody else has shared, and just kind of grab onto that idea of the space between and how it could, you know, possibly You could judge it as a negative thing. Possibly you could judge it as a positive thing. You know, whatever it is, just allow yourself to kind of ponder on this one idea that you can pull out. It would be good for you to ponder on today about the space between. And with that one idea, go ahead and take one more deep breath. And just listening for what you can learn from what has been shared today on this one particular subject that you've chosen as your special learning, whatever you're going to learn today. What is something new that you are learning? What's a new perspective that you've gained on this one particular subject about the space between? And as you're getting clear with a new perspective, something new that you're learning, what is the limiting belief that's showing up for you about this particular subject, this particular type of space between? And as you're looking at that limiting belief, what is the cost? What effect does this limiting belief have on your ability to receive this knowledge, to accept it, to learn from it, to gain wisdom from it, to take action on it so you can gain wisdom from it? What is the cost of this limiting belief? If you hold on to this limiting belief, how will it hinder your ability to learn and grow, and ultimately even to serve others? And if you don't like that cost, if you want to kind of break out of the box and allow yourself to think beyond what you had been capable of thinking before, I invite you to give yourself permission to choose a different belief by saying yes.
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 Yes. Awesome. So what are those new beliefs? What are some new beliefs that will allow you to step beyond what you knew before, allow yourself to be in this space between, and see what you can learn? What are the new beliefs that will give you the confidence, the courage, the excitement to be able to just sit in this space between what you used to know and what you're learning now, to getting to a place of full knowledge? What are some new beliefs that will allow you to be in this space between and feel confident and just at peace? And as you're looking over your list, maybe 2 or 3 new beliefs, allow those new beliefs to fill up the space. That now, instead of just feeling like you're floating and a little bit unstable in this space between what you thought you knew and what you're learning now, allow these new beliefs to become that tangible foundation, the hard, solid foundation that you can stand on until your knowledge is complete. So just see those as the building blocks, maybe bricks, or like building a rock wall, a rock solid foundation that you can stand on, or a brick floor, or whatever it is that feels really solid to you. Maybe even a bridge, that we're building a bridge over the space between what you used to know and what you're learning, what you're not seeing complete full knowledge of yet. Allow these new beliefs to build that bridge so that you're actually standing on the space between, and it feels solid. And what else can you learn standing on this solid space? Just allow your mind be open to receive any new information. And what is the one most important thing that you could do today to cross that bridge and to be solidly on the other side of being in full knowledge, understanding completely? What is your inspired shortcut to crossing that bridge and to being solid on the other side, fully in knowledge, having full knowledge, understanding, and ready to take action? What's your inspired shortcut? And in a moment, I'm going to open it up for some shares. I just want to invite anyone, if you're struggling with this idea of being in this space between, if you're having a hard time, really seeing how to get onto the other side, or whatever you might be struggling with this meditation that we just did, or this idea of the space between, I would invite you to have a conversation with me. And you can do that by going to askwylene.com, and that goes right to my calendar. You can schedule a 15-minute call. It's free. It's a free mentoring call with me. And 15 minutes might not seem like very much, but it is definitely the space between being frustrated and struggling to being at peace and knowing what your next step is. And it's enough. 15 minutes is enough space to be able to find the answers there. So askwylene.com is how you get to my calendar. Who would like to share something about their experience today?
I'll share.
Okay, thanks, Melissa.
My main belief is that I'm worried about how I'm going to fulfill God's purpose for me, for the people I'm supposed to help. And the cost is that I'm going to be hesitant to act. Mm-hmm. My new beliefs are that the words I'm supposed to say will be given the moment I need them. Mm. My people will seek after me and love me. I'm not for everyone. Mm-hmm. And what I have to say is important, impactful, and needed.
Wow, awesome.
And my action is to speak with confidence, trusting that the people who need to hear me will listen.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. That's so awesome. I just want to do a little teaching moment right now. Right here, some of those beliefs that you shared had the words no, like I'm not for everyone. And in some places, these are really powerful. When you have been believing something for a long time and you're starting to see, you're in that space between full knowing, it is very powerful for you to disclaim those old beliefs. Maybe you believed before that you want to serve everyone, and now you're saying, I'm not for everyone. Even Jesus Christ, he speaks and his lambs follow him. He walks forward and he calls to his lambs and they follow him. Some people decide not to follow, and that's up to them. And so, there is a place, a space between when you don't have evidence and you're not fully, confident about it or whatever, but you do know what you don't want. And that's a really powerful place to put one of those disclaimers, and then follow it up with whatever you shared right after that was really powerful about, other people hearing you. Thanks, Melissa. Any other last thoughts before we finish up our call today?
I have a thought. My limiting belief is that I must create the space.
Ooh,
I cannot create the space. I can organize the space. Mm-hmm. And I can stop for a moment and I can look for what's available. And then I can use the elements to organize and to put things in stacks or whatever, and to be able to see the space, and because the space is always there, and I can't create it.
Thank you. I appreciate you articulating that, because I think a lot of us do that without really realizing it. Because like you said before on the call, God is in the space. And so if we feel like we have to create the space, basically what we're doing is we're saying, God, get in there. He's already there. So yeah, the space exists. God's already there in the space, and the resources are there. All we have to do is just ask. We can organize, the resources that we have available. We can organize our time, all those things that are kind of in that space as we're creating. We do definitely have the power to organize that for ourselves. But yeah, what a funny thought to believe that we create the space. Thank you, Phil. All right. Well, love you guys. Appreciate everything that has been shared today. This has opened up some new insights for me. I appreciate everything that has been shared, and just encourage everybody to go to the Facebook group, Breakthrough with Gratitude, and post your thoughts there. If you had some thoughts and you weren't able to share them today, that's a great place to go and just continue your learning, also continue sharing, continue celebrating each other. Just a wonderful place to continue our interaction. So thank you all for being on the call today, and we'll look forward to tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time right here. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty.
Thank you. Hey, thanks so much for listening, and I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.